Hey, Trevor Chakudi here from SpineWise. Today I want to go into part 2 of how your flight or fight responses, your stress responses, may actually be affecting your hormones. So whether you're male, whether you're female, we're going to cover this stuff. If you haven't watched our first video, please go back and watch our first video. It is available on our Facebook page and our YouTube chat page. If you are enjoying our videos, please like and share them along with your friends. We just want to get more information out to people to allow them to take control of their life and get back on track to living the way they want to live. All right, so let's get back into our second part of our flight or fight responses and hormonal change. Now, in the first video, we spoke about how stress alters cortisol and the mechanisms behind that and how your flight or fight responses do too. We spoke about the different mechanisms in which that can become chronically activated. So what we really see is that when we have a stress response, the body's going to start prioritizing this pathway here, which is the production of cortisol. The problem with doing this, and I've simplified this chart for you a little bit rather than the complicated biochemistry that goes with it, but really what we see here is that all of these substances derive from one substance called pregnenolone, and if we want to go further back, that's actually derived from a substance known as cholesterol. So we need to also be aware that problems with these pathways can sometimes lead to cholesterol issues, and low cholesterol problems can sometimes lead to problems in these pathways as well. But when we have a demand for cortisol and we start ramping up that demand, the level of pregnenolone actually drops in the system. We have less availability of it. And if we have less availability of pregnenolone, the body now needs to make the priority up. And the priority is, do we look after progesterone, do we look after cortisol, or do we look after DHEA? So let me give you a bit of a background in some of these hormones. So progesterone, as the name dictates, progestation, this is all about pregnancy. This is the thing that maintains your pregnancy. If you're having problems with fertility, progesterone is a very common cause of fertility issues when it's low, and we know stress is a very common cause of progesterone problems and fertility problems. Cortisol is our main stress hormone, which we spoke about in the last video, and DHEA is kind of our regenerative hormone. It's a thing that kind of helps build things back up. And it's a precursor to estrogen and testosterone in both men and women. It's just the ratio of each which tends to change. So when we have a cortisol issue and our cortisol levels go up during our stress issue, we're going to start prioritizing which one's which. So generally speaking, what happens is the cortisol level will go up, and as the levels of pregnenolone start dropping, we'll drop our progesterone levels and our DHEA levels. And this is what is commonly referred to as a pregnenolone steal. The cortisol is stealing it from these other things. If you're female, the result of low progesterone can be period pain, it can be fertility problems, and a lot of women also forget that progesterone has a major role in those same receptors we spoke about in the body with your flight or fight responses. The receptors for serotonin in the brain, the volume is controlled by progesterone. So when progesterone starts dropping down, a lot of women will start having problems with serotonin function, and they'll tend to get frustrated, they'll tend to get snappy, they'll get aggressive, they'll get anxiety, they'll get negative fixation, they'll get decisional fatigue, they can get obsessive about things. This is some of the things we often see with people who have low progesterone levels that are affecting brain health. As our cortisol levels go up too, what we tend to do is we tend to promote estrogen production. So the pathway gets established this way, and the main reason for that is that estrogen is used to stimulate the limbic system, the emotional centers, which you need when you're stressed, because you need to have access to your fear-orientated memories to survive that attack that you may potentially be perceived as being under. So the result of this going up and this going down, if you're female, is basically high emotional states, low levels of rationality, higher levels of aggression. These are the two things that tend to go with this pathway that we commonly see. If you're male, testosterone levels tend to drop, and just like estrogen and progesterone have functions in the female brain with those receptor volume, testosterone has the same function in men. It's really responsible for frontal lobe receptor health and the microphone volume within that. And the result of low testosterone in the male brain is the same type of effect. We tend to get anxiety issues, depression issues, things like this. So this is really, really important. And estrogen still has a very similar effect in the male brain by driving emotional states. And the high estrogen, low testosterone pattern is often what's been associated with prostatic problems, especially prostatic hypertrophy. So these are really key things that happen through here. The other big thing when we start looking at these type of patterns as well is that eventually if you keep pushing the stress pattern further and further and further and further, eventually levels of pregnenolone will drop right down, and as they drop right down, now all of a sudden our cortisol levels completely crash as well. And this is this bombing out we have right throughout, and this can create things like fatigue issues, inflammatory issues, immune dysfunction issues, gut problems, brain health problems, a whole lot of other things as well. So as you can see from the last video, moving into this video, something as simple as a balance issue or a TMJ issue or even just a chronic stress issue can not only fire off your flight or fight responses, but can have profound effect on all the hormones that have profound effect on every single cell on the human body. If you have any questions or that, please email through to me, message me, post them up, whatever's easier for you, send me a PM or a DM. And I'll get back to you in any way, shape that you need with any information you want. Otherwise, thanks for watching our videos. Please like and share them. As I said, we want to get this information out so that people can start taking control of their health. But in the meantime, if you need anything, send me a message. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.